Initially, the affirmative addresses the growing issue, but later in our own significance claims, I'll be addressing that matter and whether or not there actually is a really big issue that is surrounding school shootings. So as far as their significance claim goes, the affirmative claims that permit holders are considered to be the most law-abiding citizens, and they substantiate this claim by saying that they are preferred by policemen as far as helping them in these sort of school shooting situations. However, the Jefferson County School District, which includes Columbine High School, where one of the largest school mass shootings actually in America took place, the police department there recommends against allowing teachers to carry guns because research shows that even a highly trained police officer misses 70% of their shots. And once the person that pursuing also starts to take fire, that percentage drops down to 18%. Now put this in the hands of someone who's just a civilian who hasn't had as far as extensive training as a police officer would. That brings down the percentage to even a lower number. Furthermore, if there are teachers actively pursuing the shooters, a cop would easily mistake this person that is pursuing the shooter as the shooter themselves, and therefore bringing in more unnecessary casualties compared to if the teacher had just stayed hidden in their classroom. Now, they also state that the right to carry reduces casualty claims because the shooters will be afraid of the teachers. This ties in somewhat into the inherency claim, so I will sort of be just using this as a transition. In the inherency claim, they also brought up the Gun-Free Zone Act, and the affirmative claims that school shootings have increased as of recently because in relation to this, the School Act turns schools into shooting ranges for school shooters. In light of this, to accept the affirmatives policy, we must assume that arming teachers reduces the instances of school shootings because school shooters would be more scared to walk on these armed campuses. However, as Professor Barberas of Brown University illustrates, the implication is that rampage shooters are only deterred by armed civilians, not by armed guards and cops, but that is an absurd suggestion. And even if they were afraid, what reason would they have to fear a civilian? In Greenberg, a retired policeman suggested that civilians or teachers in their shooting would be a crapshoot. The working paper notes that despite police officers' extensive training and familiarity with high-risk and life-threatening events, the evidence shows that they do not shoot accurately in the crisis encounter. It is likely that the teachers would be far less effective. Now again, I would like to reiterate that even though that these civilians will be receiving extensive training and going through life decision-making training, they won't have nearly as much experience as far as actually going through a crisis situation. And then, and also another point that I would like to bring up as far as that part of their argument, students who commit school shootings are more often than not already suicidal. Therefore, the fear of dying or being shot at will fail to prevent shooters from coming onto actual campuses. Mass shooters, cited from the Northeastern University in 2018, died in 48% of the attacks studied, and 38% of their own 30% of these died by their own hand, and the other percent had died by suicide by cop, which is provoking cops so that they shoot you and you don't have to kill yourself, but technically it is caught by suicide. Now, as far as their solvency claim goes, they bring up the matter that the best time to act is in the moment since shootings last within a few minutes. But what if there was a better alternative to this that both keeps civilians protected and gives officers more time to respond to the situation itself? In Boulder Valley District, this is already happening. Instead, Stevenson, the district superintendent, stated in 2017 that Boulder Valley wants to create hard targets by making it difficult for someone to get access to students or the faculty. The district has implemented bulletproof locked doors and vestibules at school entrances, as well as alarms that will warn students of breaches within the school. The district says that their mentality is that you want to make it hard to reach the target. That is going to be safer in the long run, rather than giving guns to teachers. And this method has gone through many simulations and has proven to be effective, giving them a total of 10 minutes before the active shooter in simulation could have actually reached them. And since they stated that that's the amount of time within the first maybe 5 minutes, that's more than enough time then they actually need to stay alive and keep themselves away from the shooter. In light of this, we see that not only is there a better alternative, but it's more effective and easy and safer. And as far as our own arguments go, the necessity of permitted arming of teachers is only valid if certain conditions are met. Those conditions being that there actually is a significant risk that a school shooting may actually happen. And the claim that we are making is that the risk is not significant to allow guns to enter our school environment and allow permit. Often those of the affirmative side will over-exaggerate these facts, claiming that there is this epidemic going on as far as mass shootings go and that they are constantly on the rise and becoming more common. However, since 1966, there have been only 16 multiple victim shootings in schools. And of these shootings, only 8 of them are actually considered mass shootings. Also, in an American's lifetime, cited again from the Northeastern University, the lifetime odds of dying in a mass shooting are actually 1 in 11,125. And an analogy to illustrate this, just because there is a real risk that a shark attack could happen on a beach doesn't mean that it's warranted that we should arm those lifeguards with loaded harpoons on every single beach in America. The notion that it is necessary that lifeguards should be armed is similar in that they think that we should be arming teachers. It is both excessive and unnecessary and ridiculous. As far as inherency goes, in Oregon, members of the general public are legally authorized to carry a concealed weapon. So the act that they cited actually doesn't keep them in the way of actually implementing the law itself, because the law states that it is authorized to hold a weapon as long as the district allows them to. And quick comment on their solvency, the issue cannot be solved by arming teachers. The militarization of schools in Generic has been proven to be ineffective. In 1989, a school shooter killed 5 in an elementary school by targeting on the playground. And finally, in 2005, a 16-year-old killed 7 people by simply shooting down all the guards and then going for the children. Even with professionals in these cases, they were not able to prevent shooters from coming onto campus.
You're 45 seconds over, so I'm going to cut you off.